Welcome back to ReadingBear. Today, we will take a look at some new revenge stories. And if you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comments. Let's go!
The first one is titled, A Revenge Twofer. These events took place over 15 years ago at the large rail car repair shop where I worked. I was in a different department from all of these folks, so I was an observer rather than a participant. The shop got a new head boss and this guy was a total prick. The slightest infraction of the rules would earn the guilty party a 3-day suspension from work. A good example of this would be coming back from lunch a few minutes late, which was all too easy to do since the sandwich shop across the street was always very busy with long lines. Obeying the rules did not apply to the boss, though. It was soon noticed that he was frequently off the property for no legitimate reason. Also, the stock clerk let it be known that he was ordering all sorts of construction material through the company that was of no use in the shop. Some of the mechanics took to tailing him around with a camera. What they discovered and documented was this prick was using the materials ordered through the company's stock system for projects on his outside business. He was let go, no surprise there, after 2 decades on the job with complete loss of his pension. Actually, the company was lenient. It declined to prosecute. Now for his number 2 man, who was an even bigger prick and, having seen what happened to his boss, was twice as stupid. There was a company-wide policy against working on private vehicles on company property even when one was off the clock. Since we were all mechanics, the temptation was very great. Some people were discovered doing so and were punished. This butthot went beyond working on his own vehicle. He set up a word-of-mouth auto repair shop on the property. Like boss number 1, he acquired his tools and repair parts through the company stock system. Everybody in the building knew it. Now, our payroll clerk's wife was in the last stages of terminal cancer and the clerk had to take frequent sick days. He had plenty banked up so he wasn't ripping off the company to care for her. He was harassed unmercifully, forced to stay late and forced to do jobs outside his classification. That was the last straw. Time for payback. Same result. The mechanics documented everything on paper and with photographs. When company investigators showed up, they discovered a cargo container crammed full of heavy machine tools and auto parts, all of which had been ordered through the company stock system. He was fired too. The next one is titled, Why Dating in the Workplace Never Works. My supervisor was a 31-year-old who had just gotten married a year ago. He was known for hitting on any young girl at work he could. I was dating a girl at work who was 18. My girlfriend and supervisor became really good friends. I mean really good friends. He sold her his Mercedes at a very steep friend discount. She got promotion after promotion that she frankly didn't deserve or have the experience or availability for. She very rarely had to even perform the responsibilities of these promotions. It was obvious to everyone what was going on. There was something between my girlfriend and our supervisor, though to this day she still insists there wasn't. I could tell our supervisor was straight up trying to win her over. They would go on dates, not dates in her eyes, and when he found out her and I were dating, he told her he would fire me. She was seeing him a lot more than she was seeing me. I tried to express my concerns to her about all this, like maybe this isn't what it looks like and I just need to hear her side. She got defensive and huffy and said he's just a really good friend. At that point there was nothing I could do because if I told her to stop seeing him, he'd know I was the cause and fire me. One night I was closing the store while they were together at midnight doing who knows what. She decided to stop by and hang with me for the rest of the night. Our supervisor dropped her off with the intention that a non-working employee would be let into the store after close, a security violation. That's where I got him. I went to the owners and exposed the supervisor. I told them about how he is fraternizing with an employee, which is against policy for a supervisor. And I told them about how he brought her to the store one night with the intention of violating security policy. The owners asked some other employees about the situation and they all agreed you could tell just by looking at them that something wrong was going on. Supervisor was fired. My girlfriend became my ex-girlfriend. Supervisor wanted nothing to do with her anymore since he got fired because of her. I googled the supervisor's name and found out where he lived. I had someone he wouldn't recognize, in case he answered the door, knock on his door and tell his wife exactly what he had been up to, about how he had been trying to get with an 18-year-old girl. They are now divorced. That's what you get for trying to steal my girlfriend and ruining our relationship. Both of them can rot. My ex-girlfriend still doesn't think she did anything wrong. The next one is titled, Never Know Who Will Be the Boss One Day. 2 regions of my company merged into one. The manager of the other region was a complete PR**CK. He was about 5'2" and walked around like he had something to prove. He treated all my employees like garbage and made them feel as though the reason they were choosing the other site over ours was because of the quality of work, when in reality they got tax breaks in the other state. Our numbers were far better in every category. But their labor was cheaper, and that is what mattered to the company. They gave my employees 4 months' notice. At first, they all thought it was a good thing so they could get paid while looking for another job. Nope. He made their lives absolutely miserable. He doubled their quota, cut commissions by 40%, and made weekly visits chewing me and the other sales manager out for not hitting the new goals, and that there was absolutely no excuse. One month, the second to last month, we hit the new goal, not for him, to get our employees paid finally, and he then reamed us out because of the amount of vacation time used. Even after explaining employees needed days off because they were interviewing other places, since we're laying them off, and that I would not deny anyone time if they have it available. He tried getting me fired for this, but I had too many friends. Well, here is how the karma comes into play. I had worked closely with some corporate folks over the 2 years I was there. They found out my region was being shut down and thought I would make a great fit in their corporate office to be in charge of operations over the Midwest region, which happened to be the Pricks region. I kept it quiet. I didn't make any mention of it until I showed up at his office with a clipboard and a laptop. You should have seen the confusion in his eyes. Him, are you visiting or something? Me, you could say that. Him, well, I need to make sure security knows you're here. Me, oh, they know, I just had to show them my badge. I whip out my badge and show him my picture, in front of the red, white and blue flag. Only people that have a photo in front of a red, white and blue flag are corporate employees. He was mine, and his face showed sheer terror behind his twitching lips. I was fair to his employees, but boy did I report every rude and inappropriate incident that went down there. His lack of cooperation, his condescending demeanor towards his own employees, it only took a few weeks for him to pack up boxes. Apparently employees had been complaining for a long time, and it only took a little corporate push to get him out. Most satisfying moment in my working career, ever. The next one is titled, Why Did You Block Off My Bike? I was lining some carts up at the cart door, but there was one major problem. A customer had parked his motorcycle in front of the cart door. I had to think of what to do. I put the carts around it and did not touch it. I came back there about 20 minutes later to drop off more carts. Nearby were 3 big managers from the store. Pretty sure they were on lunch break. Anyway, the owner of the motorcycle, a man who looked like he was in his 30s, came out and started screaming at me at the top of his lungs. Why did you block off my bike? He screamed at me. I politely explained that this was where we left the carts so they could be pushed inside. He was not okay with that answer. One of the 3 managers overheard and yelled over, repeating what I said, that is the cart area, not a parking area. He continued yelling, saying that a bike must be parked up on the sidewalk, not in the parking lot. One of my managers again yelled over, everyone could hear him screaming at me. By the way, he was making a scene, saying that bicycles need to be parked on the sidewalk, but motorcycles need to be in parking spots. I started kindly moving the carts out of the way of his motorcycle so he could back out. Instead of just letting me do that, he grabbed some of the carts and attacked me. He slammed them into my abdomen. Thankfully, I was not badly hurt, but I was stunned. One of my managers, one who is second to our store manager, ran over yelling, "Don't hurt her," and comes up and said, "Go inside. We'll take care of him." I went inside for about 5 minutes, and then started walking out the opposite entrance of where the incident happened. A customer stopped me on the way and asked me if I was okay, and I said I was. The guy who attacked me was gone when I got back to the original spot, but the manager that went over to him was still there. She said, "We dealt with him. We've got your back." I assume they threw him out ASAP. I have some awesome managers and I really appreciate how they handled this. The next one is titled, That's One Crazy Fight. Oh man, this poor kid I used to work with at Wendy's. Kevin. He was a juvenile delinquent. He was a few years older than me, so technically in charge of me. He was a bit bigger than me, had nasty tattoos on his neck, and supposedly was out of jail on work release. He tried to be a tough guy and bully me whenever we worked together, stuff like generally talking smack unprovoked, getting real close up in my face, and that stance where you puff out your chest and pull your arms back like you're going to swing. The most irritating was when he would walk right up in my face, then flinch like he was going to throw a punch at me, then just laugh and say some rude stuff. I got along with just about everyone at work, and he did somewhat, but we just did not fit together. One day, the exchanges between us were so apparent and obviously stressed. Everyone working was talking about me fighting him. I dispelled these rumors as I wanted to keep my job, but my destiny on this day said otherwise. First, there was the backdoor incident. The store had a large back door with a peephole in it, and it could only be opened from the inside. There was a buzzer outside that employees would push if they wanted back in. Well, Kevin was locked outside and his patience while awaiting his re-entry had run out. Instead of tapping the buzzer, this guy was mashing it and holding it down while everyone inside went nuts. We were all busy and I was running to the back to grab some heavy boxes. Holding these boxes, I was going to open the back door while I walked past. I tried to push on the door, but it wouldn't open. I leaned into it but couldn't push much more because of the boxes I was holding. I was in a hurry, so I yelled, "Get back, I'm gonna kick the door." He did not hear me over the loud constant buzzing. I gave that door a swift "this is Sparta" kick and it opened about 3 inches, then bounced closed again. I kicked it again and it opened, revealing a bashed and angry Kevin. He had been trying to look in the peephole when I kicked the door. I had just broken his nose. Like the tip was almost touching his cheek, bright red purple, swollen eyes, broken. He was furious. Immediately, I started apologizing and backing away from him, but he came at me like a rabid monkey. Quickly, we were surrounded by employees and separated. I was told to go up front and manage fries and to not come into the back part of the store until Kevin left to the hospital. Then, the final event, less than 10 minutes later. I was working the fries, which entails grabbing a metal basket out of boiling hot oil and dumping the fresh fries into an adjacent tray. I was doing this and everyone around me was talking about how I just broke Kevin's face. On his way out of the store for the hospital, he decided to come right up to me again and try to instigate a fight while I was dumping some fresh fries. Kevin pulled his signature move of flinching at me like he was going to throw a punch. I retaliated by returning my own flinch with the basket I was holding. I didn't actually hit him with an incredibly hot fry basket, but I forgot about the boiling hot oil still clinging to the basket. When I flinched at him and shook the basket, tiny flaming hot drops of grease splattered his face and neck. I had just broken his nose on accident, then threw boiling hot oil on his face on accident. Instant fight. On the ground. I'm a wrestler, so his freshly broken and burned nose was just smashed and wiped across a dirty floor for a few seconds before it was broken up. He was an absolute mess. He left for the hospital, I got sent home. That was it. No charges. No questions from my managers after. Shockingly, no more being scheduled with Kevin. Not even any paperwork about 2 vicious assaults and fights in the same day. I felt awful, but simultaneously kinda justified. Both incidents were honest accidents, which could have easily been avoided if he weren't such a prick. I still felt like the outcome was worse than reasonable. The next one is titled, "Steal My Photo Then Tell Me to Sue You." I'll do just that. This happened circa 2013. I used to have my hair dyed in a lot of different colors. Think pink, purple, green, blue, all the colors in the rainbow. And I always took pride in my hair. I won't have false modesty, I had pretty awesome hair, so well taken care of that people started asking me what my upkeep was. Because of that, I started a blog to tell what I did to my hair, and in that blog I posted photos of my hair adventures, obviously. It wasn't huge, I didn't have that many followers, I was on the low hundreds, not a big blogger in no way imaginable. It was just for fun. One day I received a message from a friend saying that he saw a photo of me in a catalog of some brand of hair dye, congratulating me. I was surprised and kinda miffed about it. I asked him to take some pics of the catalog and send me it. And there it was, a photo I had uploaded to my blog. Immediately I went to the company's website and took a look at the online catalog. And there it was again. I sent an email to the company asking them to take it down, that they couldn't just use my photo for advertising. No answer. I sent a message on their Facebook page telling them the same thing I said on the email, but less politely, I must admit. This time I got an answer. They could send me a few bottles of dye, I could even choose the colors they would send. It was good exposure. Why I was so mad about it? Well, the thing is, I don't know how it works in other countries, but here we have something called direito de imagem. It means that no one can use your image without your authorization, especially if the person had monetary gain because of your image. I responded to their message saying that they should take everything down and pull every catalog that had my photo in it, that I haven't given authorization, so they couldn't use it. Simple as that. There was some back and forth. They say that they wouldn't stop using my photo and it was good exposure. That I was greedy, cause they had already made an offer to give me some products. And I saying, adamantly, that the photo must go. The head of marketing of the company messages me, then. She gets all cocky, saying that if I don't want the hair dye, I would get nothing. That they didn't do anything wrong. She said, if you're unhappy with the outcome, sue me. Okay, I will sue the company and you, personally, because you were the person responsible for the catalog. And she admitted that she was the one who designed it. Long story short, I did sue them, I won, I was awarded a hefty sum, but I still haven't gotten paid, because they took everything they owned out of their names and stopped using their bank accounts. That is more common than not in my country, unfortunately. The thing that brought this back to memory is that she messaged me on Facebook today, asking me to make some sort of agreement with her because it's been hell. Her credit is destroyed, she can't use any bank account, she can't have anything to her name, and it's been really hard on her, and she's another victim of the company's owner. She basically asked me to stop pursuing payment. I forwarded everything to my lawyer and will let him handle everything. But I really wanted to say to her, I only did what you asked me to. I sued you. The last one is titled, Fire Me for an Unfair Reason? Say goodbye to your finances. Treat your employees right next time. This happened a few years ago and still makes me giggle with glee to this day. I'm a 34-year-old female who has always been a bit of a tomboy. I like cars, sports, and reptiles. When I was 25, I wanted a career change and finally followed my dream of working in an auto repair shop as a painter, like my father always did. To start my education, I needed to already have a job at an auto repair shop as an intern. So, I searched and called a lot of companies to see if they had spots. There were literally several companies that laughed at me because there's no place for a woman on the work floor. Disheartened, I tried one final company who said he'd take a chance with me. I was thrilled. I was promised lots of opportunities to learn and a steady job after graduation. I started a week later, and the first 2 weeks were awesome. I learned a lot and was promised even more opportunities. He promised I would have 2 to 3 hours a week of private time with the resident painter for practice. Soon after, though, it went downhill. The owner had bid on a contract with a large city in our country to restore underground containers. I had to sand them down, put sealant on the edges, and prepare them for painting. Tedious work, but I did it diligently. The promised practice time never happened. After a while, all I did, day in day out, 8 hours a day, was sand down underground containers. By then end of the day, my hands and wrists were numb from the vibrations. This, by the way, is illegal. You're not allowed to sand with a pneumatic sanding machine for more than 4 hours a day in my country, as it causes severe wrist and hand issues. After several months, the contract with the city ended, and I hoped my promised practice time would come. But no, it didn't. I was given jobs that had nothing to do with my education. I was told to do jobs that a contractor should do, like put rebar in front of the windows, repair the sliding doors, repair walls, and other small things. Basically nothing to do with my desire to become a painter. After 6 months of doing literally nothing that I could counter my education, my boss called me into his office. He told me he was fed up with my attitude. He made a mistake hiring me. I was fired on the spot. I was heartbroken and cried the whole way home. I didn't get it. I put 110% into my job, working hard, always on time, staying late if needed, and never complained. I didn't understand what happened and was pretty down for a while. However, several days later, I found out I was pregnant, which helped me get over my downiness. We had been trying for over a year. So we were ecstatic. When the time came that my final paycheck should come in, nothing happened. A week after it normally came in, I called but was told to not complain, and it would be transferred shortly. 2 weeks later, still nothing. I called again and got a very irate boss on the line, cursing at me and calling me things I will not repeat here. I was fed up and contacted my lawyer. Here comes the revenge part. In my country, there are apparently a few laws that my boss broke without me even knowing about them. First, you're not allowed to fire somebody without reasonable cause. You need to document bad behavior and give the employee a write-up. After 2 write-ups, you're allowed to terminate. My boss never did this. Unlawful termination can end in a fine, and the employee has a right to get as many monthly pays as the employment contract would have continued if the employee wasn't terminated, which would mean I had a right to another 6 months of pay. Second, you must pay the final paycheck within a week of termination. We were now going on week 4. After the first week, an employee is entitled to compensation of up to $112 per day of not receiving their paycheck. Meaning, I was now entitled to at least over $2,000 extra pay. My lawyer wrote up a letter to my boss stating we would be pursuing my legal rights. He didn't respond. A week later, we sent another letter, increasing the compensation for late payment as we went. After a month of my lawyer not getting any response, suddenly I received my pay, no compensation, nothing, just basic pay. My lawyer recommended to go to small claims court, and so we did. Mind you, it takes about 3 months before you can appear before the court. He didn't even show up in court. But he sent a statement through his lawyer, saying how I was a horrible employee, blah, blah, blah. However, he had no proof whatsoever, but I did. I had my performance reports from 1 month into employment and 4 months into employment. And they were stellar. The judge saw right through my boss's bullsh*t and awarded me, minus 6 months of pay, $13,500, minus 4 months of late payment compensation. This is because he didn't pay the full amount my lawyer requested, as was my legal right. About $13,500 legal fees, now about $3,300, I was paid the same week. He was then also charged with a fine for violating employment laws. He had to pay over $50,000. This resulted in the Employment Bureau, this agency makes sure companies comply with employment laws, etc., investigating the company. They discovered the building I worked at was unsafe. The foundation was unstable, walls were crumbling and tilting. He was told to make repairs, or they would close him down within a month. By accident, they discovered he was also cheating on his taxes. So, the tax agency got involved. He got charged with embezzlement and tax evasion for both his companies. He had to pay back all taxes he evaded, plus a 100% fine, coming to a staggering $250,000 over several years. He didn't have that kind of money, and after struggling for about 2 months, which resulted in him not paying his other employees, he went belly up. Both businesses shut down, and the building I worked at even got demolished. 7 years later, it's still an empty plot, and if I ever feel put down by somebody, I take a short drive to that place. And it reminds me, people will sometimes get what they deserve. Yes, my colleagues lost their jobs too, though they did encourage me to seek justice. They too were wronged by him. First off, he let them work in an unsafe environment, which he knew was unsafe. And after I left, he asked his employees to work for free as he had financial issues, which were later proven to be untrue at that point anyway, lol. Most didn't accept this and left the company. The ones who stayed did lose their job when he went belly up. I kept in contact with most of them. 2 went into early retirement and are happily enjoying it. Others have moved on and found better jobs within the week. I did feel guilty at first, but the end result, including my colleagues finding better employment, made it worth it. Yes, I did find another painting job for about 3 years, after which I got ill and am now waiting on a kidney transplant and also in a wheelchair. Genetics, not environmental. The kid is doing fine, he's 7 now. The sweet age of them being awesome and slightly annoying all at the same time. Thanks for listening.